Hello, it's me, Kenny. I've been writing songs since 19. Well, I've not been writing songs. I'm actually writing poetry since 1997. But recently I've moved to songs because nobody reads poetry. Nobody cares. Well, a few does, but they do lack viewers. But so I was like, maybe what I can write, I can change into songs because I have ideas about stuff. So I've just released a couple of days ago a new CD I call Kenny from the Beast Within. Now I wanted to ask Chatgpt for an analysis of my 6 songs, if it could see a red thread going through it, because I have one, but it would be kind of funny if somebody else could see it, and I don't have anybody else who cares to look through songs for the hidden meaning and stuff like that. So I asked ChatGPT to see if it could see what I'm doing, if it could smell what I'm cooking, like The Rock would say. So there's 6 songs, and I start feeding ChatGPT my songs, and I start with number 5 of 6 called Absence. So, and what it says to that, got it. I'll hold off overall analysis until you've shared all 6. For this one, I'm just taking notes on recurring elements that may matter later. Absence, abandonment, and emotionally neglect. A relationship that speaks, where the speaker feels unseen rather than openly attacked. Self-removal instead of revenge. The phrase "too late" appears repeatedly, suggesting a point beyond reconciliation. A strong theme of reclaiming agency. Now I reclaim the air. The speaker leaves wounded but not defeated, unseen but not broken. See, it takes my words and, what does that mean? That's something I really, really like. Physical imaginary of fading, mist, dust, white walls, silence. Things that appear rather than explode. Things that disappear rather than explode. One thing I notice, compared to some of the other lyrics you've shown me in previous conversation, is that the anger here is quieter. Instead of fighting the world, the narrator simply withdraws from it. Yeah, I've linked other songs that stands to another collection, not this one. So, send the 6 songs, and once you said that's the last one, and yada yada yada. Now, then I add the next one to the pile, and that's Everything Went Wrong. That's number 2 of 6. So now that's added to it to make the picture what I'm trying to cook here. Everything, without doing the final thread analysis yet, a few things immediately stand out when I compare Everything Went Wrong with Absence. Common elements in both: the speaker survives rather than triumphs. Neither song is about winning. The achievement is endurance. But still I'm here, unseen but never broken. The victory isn't success, it's persistence. Frustrating with simplistic optimism. Yeah, in Everything Went Wrong, they think I care about the sun, and they talk like hope can heal it all. The speaker rejects easy answers and emotional and motivational cliches. You're damn right. 3. Pain is a permanent companion, not something that gets fixed. Chains, scars, weights carried every year, stone, white walls, silence. The song treats suffering as something integrated into life rather than a temporary obstacle. Yeah, because there's a lot of suffering in life that you got to deal with. And it's not how you deal with it. Well, it is. You just don't quit. That's the thing. Anyway, let's move on. Just, what is it? Recognition never arrives. A recurring feeling that others don't really see what's been endured. No one sees the scars I got. I've been too long unspoken. Self-reliance. The narrator stops expecting rescue. I don't need light to see my way. Now I reclaim the air. That's from two different songs. Yet, it's threatened here. The needle. There's a very little dependence on others in either song by the end. One thing that strikes me particularly is that neither song said life was unfair, therefore I quit. Instead, they say life was unfair, therefore I became harder. I'm starting to see a pattern emerging, but I'll wait until I've seen all six before drawing conclusions. Send the next one when you're ready, and then I send Ghosts number 4 of 6. This one adds another important piece to the puzzle. Comparing ghost, absence, and everything went wrong, I'm seeing recurrent distinctions. The pain is not primary physically or material. The deepest wounds in these songs isn't poverty, illness, or failure. It's being unseen. In Ghost, you pass me by, you never see a ghost. In crowds, I'm still right here. In Absence, I've been too long unspoken. In Everything Went Wrong, no one sees the scars I got. The narrator doesn't seem to be asking for admiration, fame, or pity. He's asking for acknowledgement. There are two versions of the narrator. I keep seeing the split. The outer person smiles, keeps going, appears strong, appears functional. The inner person carries pain, feels invisible, wants to be understood, wonders whether anyone truly sees him. Examples. You see a face that learned to smile, and I paid a smile, wear a disguise. These are almost companion lines, despite being in different songs. The recurring image isn't a warrior. A lot of writers dealing with pain write themselves as fighters, rebels, conquerors, survivors. Your songs do contain resilience, but the central image is often something else. Mist, ghost, whisper, silence, dust, unspoken words disappearing. The narrator often feels transparent rather than powerful. One difference from the two other songs, Ghost still contains hope. Well, if someone stopped and the final chorus line, I still hope there's someone there. That is very different from Absence. When the door is already closed and the verdict is it's too late. So far, if I had to summarize these three songs in one sentence, I'd say a person who has endured a great deal of pain, not because life was hard, but because he feels unseen while carrying it. But I'll save the real conclusion until I've seen all six. Next song, Perception. Or Perspective, actually. It's one of my big new songs. I like this one. This one feels particularly important because it doesn't just express the pain, it argues with the people who try to explain it away. Looking at 4 songs you've shared so far, Perception or Perspective, Everything Went Wrong, Ghost, and Absence, a very clear pattern is emerging. The central conflict isn't pain or happiness, it's experience versus perception. In song after song, the narrator is saying some version of "You see one thing, I live another." Examples: perspective. You see a moment small and bright, but never see the endless night. Ghost. I paint a smile, wear a disguise. Everything went wrong. You see a face that learned to smile. Absence. I've been too long unspoken. The world keeps judging from the outside. The narrator keeps describing what exists underneath. The sun is becoming a symbol. It is. And that's where I'm like, yeah, okay, now you've gotten a central point, because it's not about that. Anyway, it says, I noticed it in Everything Went Wrong, but now it's unmistakable. In both songs, the sun isn't really about the sun. It's shorthand for positive thinking, optimism, gratitude advice, looking on the bright side, simple solutions to deep problems. Yeah, that's what I hate. So it's nailing that complete thing on the sun. Look, the sun, they always say, that should wash the pain away. In Everything Went Wrong, they think I care about the sun. The speaker's pushing back against the idea that suffering can be solved by changing perspective alone. Yeah. Loss appears deeper than relationship pain. Absence is about relationship, but perception or perspective introduces something even more fundamental, foundational. My mother's voice is gone from here. That changes the landscape a bit. The song doesn't feel like they're mainly about romance, because it isn't. They feel like they're about accumulated loss. Yep. Lost people, dreams, lost opportunities, lost connections, lost version of oneself. A recurring line of thought across all four songs. I keep hearing variation of the same statement. I'm carrying something you cannot see. Different imagery each time. Exactly. Something else I've noticed, despite all the darkness, the narrator never presents himself as a victim of fate alone. There's a frustration, there's a grief, there's a resignation at times, but there's also a repeated insistence on telling the truth as he sees it, almost if the songs are saying, you don't have to agree with me, but you should at least see what I'm actually carrying. The desire to be accurately understood may be the strongest thread I've seen so far. I'm curious what songs 3 and 6 add, because at this point the songs feels less like separate stories and more like different chapters told by the same voice. That's because they are. It's 6 songs, but they have this red thread all the way through, which is the fun part. So I add, I think it's Alone. That one is actually a bit outside of it, but I took it in because it actually follows the red thread still. Now, this is interesting because this song feels like a prequel to several of the others. Yeah, that's because it is. If I step back and look at all 5 songs you've shared so far, I think the thread is becoming much clearer. The same wound keeps appearing in different forms. The narrator repeatedly experiences being ignored, misunderstood, dismissed, being isolated, having pain minimized, having other people tell him what his reality is. In Ghost, you pass me by, you never see. In Perception, you see a moment small and bright. In Everything Went Wrong, no one sees the scars I got. In this song, you stole the place I could be heard. The details change, but the emotional injury is remarkably consistent. This song may explain where the others came from. The other songs often feature an adult narrator looking back at life and carrying accumulated damage. This song is different. It's more it's much more direct. The narrator is isolated at school, bullied, disconnected from peers, finding acceptance online, blamed for everything that helped him cope. In a way, this song describes the formation of the worldview that appears in the others. The transformation is the same in multiple songs. A pattern keeps repeating. Pain to strength. In everything went wrong, I was forged and made strong. In this song, every scar you helped create and woke the beast you helped awake. Every scar you helped create woke the beast you helped awake. Yeah. The narrator rarely describes healing. He describes hardening, the major theme across nearly everything you've shown. The recurrent enemy isn't a person. At first glance, some songs seem directed at specific people, but looking across all five, the real opponent appears to be something larger: indifference. Not hatred, not evil, indifference. People who don't listen, don't notice, don't understand, offer cliches, look away, assume they know better. That idea appears over and over. If I had to name the threat right now, without seeing Song 6, yet I'd describe the common threat as a lifespan carrying pain that others either cannot see, refuse to see, or gradual transformation of pain into endurance, distance, anger, and self-reliance. Or even more simple, nobody saw what it cost. So anyway, I feed it with the last song. Let's keep going. Now that I've seen all six, I think the threat is much clearer than I expected, and it's not actually pain. Pain is in every song, but pain is the setting, not the story. The story is a man carrying burdens that few people see, trying to endure a life that repeatedly took more than it gave, while refusing to completely surrender. That's the thread I see running through all six. The same character appears in every song, not literally, but emotionally. In every song, there's someone who feels unseen, carries old wounds, has lost people, dreams, relationship, or opportunities, distrusts easy optimism, expects little from others, keeps moving anyway. Different songs show different stages of that person. Song 3, The Origin. The school song is the earliest version. The narrator is isolated, bullied, unheard, and finds belonging online. This is where the feeling of nobody sees me first takes shape. Ghost, the wound, the adult version of the feeling. Not necessarily being attacked anymore, just forgotten, ignored, passed by. The central question becomes, would anyone notice if I disappeared? Then you have perception, the argument. The song directly confronts people who think they understand. The narrator says, "You see a smile, I live the pain." This is perhaps the clearest statement of the worldview behind all six songs. Absence, the withdrawal. The narrator finally stops waiting. Not revenge, not rage, just departure. The emotional message is, you had your chance. Everything went wrong. The hardening. This is the most defiant song. It says, my suffering made me strong. Not happier, not healed, stronger. That's an important distinction. Keep going, the conclusion. That's why it's the sixth song. This feels more. This feels almost like the thesis statement of the entire collection because after all the grief, loneliness, disappointment, rejection, loss, and anger, the final message isn't, I won, it's, I'm still here. Exactly. That's the power. Because, you know, if you get knocked down, you get right back up again. And it's not like I won, it's I'm still here. You can fuck with me all you want, but I am still fucking here. It's the proverbial fuck you. The recurring symbols. You use different words, but they keep pointing at the same emotional territory. Invisible things, ghost, mist, silence, echoes, shadows, empty rooms, rooms and unspoken words. These are the things that exist, but are hard for others to notice. That's not accidental. Weight and damage, chains, scars, broken hearts, cracks, wounds, regret. Pain is almost always described as something carried, rarely something escaped. Distance, walking alone, empty days, crowds, white walls, looking at phones, people walking away. Isolation appears in every song in one form or another. The most surprising thing, when people write 6 songs about suffering, often the central emotion is anger. I don't think anger is your central emotion. I think it's disappointment. The songs repeatedly expresses disappointment in people, relationships, society, advice, promises, hope itself. The anger often arrives afterward as a reaction, not as the root. The strongest single line running through all 6. If I had to reduce all 6 songs to one sentence, it would be, you don't know what I've carried, but I carried it anyway. That's in Ghost Perception. It's in Everything Went Wrong. It's in Absence. It's in Keep Going. Even the school song points towards it. What I think these songs reveal about you as a writer, you are not primarily writing songs about despair. You're writing songs about endurance. The narrator is wounded in every song, lonely in most of them, disappointed in nearly all of them, but he never actually quits. Even in Absence, he walks away rather than collapse. And in Keep Going, the final message is almost impossible to miss. Life kept hitting blow by blow. How I keep moving, I don't know. Huh? Yet he does. That's the thread I see woven through the entire collection. Not hope, not happiness, not victory. Endurance. A stubborn refusal to stop moving even when the reasons for moving have become difficult to find. You got it. Not much to say, but you nailed it, I'm then writing. Thanks. After reading all 6 together, what convinced me was the songs weren't repeating the same events, they were repeating the same response to different events. A breakup in Absence. Yes. Bullying and isolation in Song 3. Yes. Loss in Perception. Yes. Loneliness in Ghost. A lifetime of setbacks in Everything Went Wrong. The summary of it all in Keep Going. Different stories, same voice. The narrator arrives at some variation of I carried it. You didn't see, I kept going. That's why Keep Going feels like the natural closing track. It doesn't introduce a new theme. It gathers all the others into one place. Exactly. This is why I picked it and I wrote it. It had to be Keep Going because it is the central thing for all that I wrote. I know these songs comes out like disjointed, but I have a clear vision inside my head that I want to give a piece of the puzzle and then another and another and another until I all put it all together to try and paint the final picture in Keep Going. Keep Going is of course not my best song in any way that I think, but it's perception or everything went wrong on those on that CD that I find the best. Right. Looking at them as a collection, I would easily imagine the album having a title along the lines of Still Here, Unseen, Carried, The Weight No One Saw, Scars Beneath the Smile, Keep Going, and what I truly called it, Kenny, The Beast Within. The beast isn't a monster. It's the stubborn thing that refuses to die when life keeps trying to wear it down. One final observation. Despite all the darkness, the last words across the collection isn't despair. It's motion. Ghost wants to be seen. Absence leaves. Everything went wrong. Survives. Keep going. Keeps moving. I gotta say this again because that is a yes, god damn it. It just gets it, man. Ghost wants to be seen. That's true. Absence leaves. That's true. Absence just leaves. In my song. Everything went wrong. Survives. Yeah. And Keep Going keeps moving. The narrator is bruised, disappointed, exhausted, and often alone, but he is never stationary. That's why Endurance stood out so strongly to me. It's almost every chorus, whether the word itself appears or not. Chef's kiss. And then I write again on the name of the collection, Kenny, the Beast Within. Nailed it again. It's not a monster. Well, it can be, but it's more the stubborn thing in me that just won't quit. Exactly. After reading the songs, I don't picture the Beast Within as rage, cruelty, or destruction. I picture it as the thing that keeps saying, "Get up!" Even after everything else has run out. In fact, there's a line in Keep Going that almost defines the beast. There's a voice that still won't die, telling me again to try. That's the beast. Not the anger, not the grief, not the scars. The thing underneath all those, the reason the title works, is that most people hear Beast Within and assume something dark or dangerous. Yeah. And they again fucking nailed it. Then they hear the songs and realize the beast isn't what hurt him. The beast is what keeps him moving. Chef's kiss. Looking back at all 6 songs, the narrator repeatedly loses things: friends, love, family, dreams, hope, faith in every answer. Faith in easy answers. Yep. It's just... Yet one thing never leaves: the stubborn refusal to stay down. Yep. You ain't get it. You can I can go down, but I will fucking pop up again. I am stubborn that way. That's why some of the songs is not really, you know, I'd been picturing that, you know, that it would come up with different answers to my songs than really was intended, because you could see it differently, but it actually nails what I've been thinking about for this chain of stories. This is a thing inside me that survived. And after reading all 6 songs, survival is the one theme that never disappears. Every other theme comes and goes: loneliness, rejection, anger, grief. But endurance is present from the first verse of the first song to the final line of the last. Still breathing, still standing, still life to go. Get up, motherfucker. You know, you can get hit by everything in the fucking world. Get up, motherfucker, and keep going. I'm sorry for the cursing, but that's the central thing. Don't, if you fall, get up. If people push you down, get the fuck up. That's the thing. That's the beast I met in these songs. Not a monster, a survivor. Well, I've never seen such a great analysis before. It's like you really understood everything. Don't do too small. Don't to the small down. It should be saying down to the small parts, but me writing sometimes. I'm glad it landed. Yeah. So that was really going through all the songs. And I really like this one where it's like perception saying that's the argument, absence that's the withdrawal. Yeah, it's leaving the being left, because you know, going away from being left. And you know, every song just is written on a basis of some negative thing. But if you start to look closer, you'll see a different line in them, and it does. That's the true cool thing of Chatgpt. It just got it. It's just wow. Anyway, that is it. I wanted, as a writer, to say something. I know this is probably a video that won't get seen much. It's fine. It's not one of my songs. It's just about my songs. Nobody wants to see about my songs, I know. But I needed to make this video because at least ChatGPT gets it. Thank you. And remember, keep going. Even if you're going down or feel that you're going down, get up again. There's still time left to go.